Hello and welcome to Cornish Walking Trails. We're in Hollywood-on-Sea.
CSI Mevagissy.
Recently there have been many names, A-list celebrities associated with this place on the north coast of Cornwall, with James Bond style houses replacing the traditional bungalows that were put up like 100 years ago. So we've come here today because we want to find one house in particular that we know is owned by an A-list celeb, and then we're going to have a wander around and see what's for sale, how much is it going for, how deep a pocket do you need to live in Hollywood-on-Sea.
We will raise the roof by making a groundbreaking video, hammer home the chaos caused by these celebs, drill into the detail and look at the locals' lives they are screwing up. We will not duck the main issues, but level with you, present concrete evidence for you to construct your own opinion. So I think I have crowbarred enough puns into this link. Now back to the video.
The Daily Mail's headline was, "Inside the British seaside village dubbed Hollywood-on-Sea, why stars like Cate Blanchett, Jason Statham, Jamie Dornan, Stanley Tucci and Jason Momoa are flocking to a tiny West Country enclave and building James Bond-style homes. This hasn't gone unnoticed by the locals and has provoked quite a reaction. In November, The Sun reported, "Star power, our Hollywood-on-Sea village is flooded with A-list celebs. The thought of seeing a star makes me want to run a mile." Under the Daily Mail article is a comment section and some of them make for good reading.
Dissatisfied citizen said, "I am a big fan of using shipping containers as dwellings, but many of these new houses look like they've been constructed from them with a price tag of millions. I am against that."
Another comment says, "Meanwhile, desperate local people born and bred can't get a look in." This point is expanded by Rebecca C. She says, "The poor, real, not the blow-ins, locals. Cornwall is one of the most poverty-stricken counties in England with a huge divide, which is sadly resulting in pushing out the real Cornish to make way for tacky McMansions for the ultra-wealthy." A reply to that says it was all locals who sold their homes to outsiders in the first place. They didn't have to, but I suppose they liked the money.
My favourite comment from Sandham, "Hope they're all on cliff edges."
Having read all this, we were intrigued, so we decided to pay a visit to the village ourselves. The village dubbed Hollywood-on-Sea is Mawgan Porth, which is about 5 miles up the coast from Newquay. It has the usual amenities, a shop, a cafe and an inn.
There's plenty of amenities here for these A-listers, isn't there? You've got Betty's newsagents.
Yeah.
You got a cafe there.
Cafe.
The village shop over there.
Yeah.
You could even have a game of crazy golf or pitch and putt if they wanted to.
Yeah.
I hear Kate likes a game of crazy golf.
You're on first name.
Oh, me and Kate, yeah.
It also has this vast beach at low tide. It seems to go on forever. So the rumours in the newspaper reports, Andrew.
Yeah.
Who have we seen that's been associated with this place?
Well, we know for definite that Cate Blanchett has got a property here.
So who's Cate Blanchett?
Well, she's an Australian film actress, isn't she?
Yes.
Been in many things. From years ago, she was in The Aviator. I think she was in Elizabeth as well, yeah, and Lord of the Rings.
That's the one, yes.
Yes.
She was. She
Yeah.
played the elf queen, didn't
That's
she?
right.
Galadriel.
But she's not the only one that's connected with Mawgan Porth, which is where we are. They've dubbed it Hollywood-on-Sea. Now, I don't know who's dubbed that. I don't think locals have come up with that. I think it's a newspaper thing, but it seems to have stuck. But there's a whole load of other A-list celebrities that seem to be moving into the area. And some of those include Stanley Tucci
Yes.
and Jamie Dornan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason Momoa.
And Jason Statham.
Stanley Tucci is in the trilogy The Hunger Games and has that fantastic headgear. I think it's quite phenomenal what they've done with all the costumes in that film. I love it. Jason Momoa, he was Khal Drogo in Game of Thrones. Jamie Dornan, he was Christian Grey in 50 Shades of Grey. And he's recently been on our television screens in the UK on BBC in the second season of The Tourist. And Jason Statham, I'm not familiar with him as an actor. Apparently he was in some of the Fast and Furious franchise films. Jason Statham is married to Rosie Huntington-Whiteley. Rosie is a model and behind the M&S lingerie range called Rosie. She's reputed to be worth $30 million in her own right, and she seems to know Jamie Dornan quite well. I can't imagine the lifestyles of the rich and famous. You know, I can't imagine what day-to-day pressures or stresses they have to cope with. It must be lovely to have a little escape or retreat of bolt hole here.
It's got to, innit? Yeah.
Yeah.
But don't come cheap, does it?
I guess not.
However, I think that a property like this is just a very small dip in a big ocean of their money to buy something like this.
Sounds like you know a bit more about this.
I've been Googling the net worths of these 5 top A-listers.
Okay.
Alright? If I said that the lowest of them has a net worth of $14 million, who would you place there of the 5 we've been looking at? So just to go through it again, we've got Cate Blanchett, Jason Statham, Jason Momoa, Stanley Tucci, and you got Jamie Dornan.
So I think I would probably put at the bottom of the pile the one that's done the least number of big movies. So that would probably be Jamie Dornan.
You're right. Okay, so his net worth is $14 million.
Wow, that's not to be sniffed at,
so,
is it? Yeah.
You know, I think he could still build one of these and have enough loose change rolling around to go and get fish and chips in Newquay. Yeah. Now you're jumping up then to $40 million. Who do you think's worth $40 million?
Well, I must admit, I have to admit that Jason Statham, I've not really heard of him until we started researching this. So I'm not. Am I going higher?
Yeah, you're way off with. So your $40 million is Aquaman.
Oh,
Jason Momoa.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
Well, Stanley Tucci.
Stanley Tucci, is he going to be higher? I reckon he's going to be higher.
Higher?
Higher.
You're right. No, it's not higher.
Okay. He's been in the Hunger Games.
Where are you going next? If he's not higher, he must
He's going to be lower.
No, he's not. He's exactly the same value. $40 million.
That's not fair. Cate Blanchett's got to be higher.
She's higher, yeah.
Yeah, because she's been in the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and
do you want me to put you out of your misery?
Yeah, go on.
Right, so Jason Statham has a net worth of $90 million.
Really?
Yeah, but then as you said, his wife's very famous in her own right as well, and I didn't look her up, but she's got to be worth quite a few million.
I looked her up. She's worth, they reckon, net worth of 30.
Wow. Okay. And Cate Blanchett was $95 million.
So, lots of A-list celebrities all seeking a bolt hole, an escape, a retreat on the north coast of Cornwall. So we'll have a think about why in a minute when we wander around the village. There's a couple of reasons we can think of that might attract that sort of calibre of star. And we'll also think about the impact it's having on the village as a whole, the community. What's it doing? Is it enhancing it? Or is it maybe undermining it a little? Clearly, one of the reasons you would want to live here is the access to the sea, some wonderful surfing from this beach. It is beautiful. So of course there's nobody out there surfing today. It's typical, isn't it? It is the middle of January and it is quite flat. We've had quite a chilly, cold, high pressure kind of week. No storms to whip up a swell on that sea. Look at this beach, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful. Low tide, massive, massive beach. And that way down to the left is Newquay. And then if you go further up the coast, you end up in Padstow. I can't imagine our A-list celebs would really want to pay us a trip or a visit to Newquay, can you? I think they've probably got to Padstow.
Padstow's a bit posher.
Yeah.
But the attraction I think here is also Watergate Bay, which is the next bay down back towards Newquay. Years ago, Jamie Oliver had a restaurant there.
Yes.
And I think there's a lady called Emily Scott who's a celebrity chef. And I think there's an appeal there that they go to those restaurants. In fact, I know it's Stanley Tucci because I've been stalking him on Instagram. He went there and he put some snaps on of his visit there on his Instagram, so maybe I'll show them now. And
isn't he mates with Jamie Dornan?
I believe so, yes.
I thought you said that. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh yes, no, there's definitely a snap on their Instagram.
Toasting New Year?
Yes, I think it's on Jamie Dornan's Instagram.
Oh, okay,
so, yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I am an Instagram stalker. It's all official.
So, shall we learn a little bit more about Mawgan Porth, the village?
A book, Sarah?
Yes, well, our channel, we go back in history to find out more about places that we visit. And this book, the Cornwall Village book, it's a collection of stories brought together by the WI, and it covers each little village in Cornwall. And this area it's kind of two villages put into one. Trunance is at this end, whereas Mawgan Porth is more towards the bridge. And it says that in the First World War, tourists began to discover Mawgan Porth, and an enterprising group of 3 people who were looking for something to do. They come back from the West Indies, and there was a surveyor with building experience, an accountant and a hotelier. They formed a company around Trunance farm. Effectively what they started to do was build and develop the area with holiday bungalows, and it was kind of the first element of tourism. They even built a reservoir and could pipe water into whatever dwellings they built. Now if we look at Mawgan Porth today in Trunance, the plots that these bungalows sit in are really regular and quite large, and I think that might be another reason that's attractive to these A-list celebrities, because they are generous plots. They can take down the existing 1930s older style bungalow and replace it with their James Bond style plate glass and metal structures, and they've still got enough room to do it without being overlooked by neighbours. From the beach you can clearly see the ones that are newer, because they are very different in style and architecture to like the 1930s. It is quite remarkable. So perhaps there is something in these rumours that the stars with their money are coming in, buying up a plot, ripping down the old place and designing and building what is their taste, what they want to their specification. Mawgan Porth is just a quarter of an hour or so from Newquay Airport, which has one of the largest runways. Well, obviously in Cornwall. I'm not quite sure if it's one of the largest in England. It's got like a mile long, huge runway, because it used to be an RAF base, and we can have really large planes land there, but also private planes because it's not too busy. So if you have got an A-lister who can kind of commission their own private jet for the day, they can land at Newquay, no problem, be in their holiday home within about 15 minutes of landing. So that might be another reason this is so perfect for that calibre of person.
Ah, Mrs. Bond, I've been expecting you.
Was there a Mrs. Bond?
They are Bond-esque, aren't they?
Yeah. Do you know, they're almost all becoming very similar, aren't they? And quite uniform.
Can I actually put it out there that they're almost, because they're all of the same style, I actually think they're a bit dull.
Oh my goodness, that's controversial, isn't it? But I know what you mean. They're all square, aren't they?
Well, some people have said they look like shipping containers.
Oh, okay.
Other people have said they look like Lego bricks. And there's a fabulous comment I found as well. If I can find it, I'll put it on now. But they likened it to a community centre.
We're going to leave this beautiful beach and just join the southwest coast path. If you've never watched one of our videos before, then welcome to our channel. If you enjoy Cornwall and you like walking, then please consider subscribing. We upload a video most Fridays about Cornwall and days out. So these properties, no denying, they are beautiful properties, and they do share some architecturally similar characteristics. They have a lot of plate glass, huge windows looking towards the view. They also seem to like asymmetry, so you don't get your 5 windows with a front door. It's this half isn't going to be the same as that half. They like their weathered wood, and they've obviously been told to include a little bit of local stone somewhere along the line. So they all share those 4 characteristics, and local stone, some weathered wood, plate glass and asymmetry, almost making them uniform. So it feels like this little village is going through a transition from relative obscurity. It used to be a quiet, tranquil little village on the north coast of Cornwall that no one had ever heard of. And now you sit here, all you can hear is tools, power tools, hammers, drills, surrounded by construction. So maybe In 10 years' time, when every house has been sold on, demolished and rebuilt, might be a bit quieter. So let's take a look at a couple of the properties that are for sale in this village. Property porn. So that one there is for sale. It's called Thorncliffe.
Is this one you were looking at then? This one is for sale at the
it's
moment?
a hotel. It's a 12-bedroom hotel at the moment called Thorncliffe. So it was a hotel. It's currently self-catering apartments.
It's on for 2.9 million.
It is.
So that's just purely for the plot then, is it? 'Cause it's going to be...
Yeah, the existing plot
demolished.
with proposed planning permission for a James Bond style house looking like this.
Wow.
I know.
So if that's going for 2.9 million, then they've got to demolish it and build that in its place. What, 6 bedrooms detached? Is that what it's... Okay.
But obviously that James Bond style house isn't going to be cheap to build.
No, that's millions as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I reckon that might be going to an A-list, and it's got to be. It's got someone with incredibly
That's who they're
deep pockets,
pitching it
isn't
at, isn't it? Yeah, they're obviously marketing it at that type of person.
Mm.
It's not for you and I, my lovely. You can only stand at the top of the driveway and dream and share the view from above their rooftop. This one is for 5 million, this bungalow.
5 million?
5 million. Yeah, so this one, 5 million. It's got quite a large front garden, I suppose. And what have you? That's what you're paying for. Makes you wonder which one's going to go next, doesn't it?
That one, possibly.
Could be any of them.
Because there's steps. And the way they're designing these properties, because they're actually digging down, aren't they? You're finding things like their pools and gyms are going down on the lower levels.
That's right.
And they're like split level houses, aren't they? So their actual living accommodation is going to be upstairs and the bedrooms are downstairs.
Well, they've been effectively the middle floor, wouldn't they?
But because they're like terraced on quite a steep slope, they're still getting a view, aren't they? They're getting a view over the top of
their neighbours
neighbours.
that's in front of them. They are amazing. I never knew this existed up here. This one's fabulous. Look at that. Here's a sneaky little container crate style property. Window there. Not yet finished. Got some little bits to finish off there. Right up to the edge of the plot. Wow. Anyway, still looking for Kate Blanchett's building site. There's so many to choose from. It's just one big building site. Literally 100 yards or so off the southwest coast path is the building site that we believe is for Kate Blanchett and her husband. It's actually a building site. It's under construction at the moment, and the way that we can confirm this is through a little bit of detective work, all through public documents, and it's publicly available information. So her husband is called Andrew Upton, and the planning permission went in under Mr. and Mrs. Upton, and it's called Bobtails here at the edge of the beach. Now the sale of the house of Bobtails is undisclosed. The amount it went for is undisclosed, but there is a video on YouTube that the estate agent took, so you can see what was here, the property that was here that they actually bought. It's just a beautiful open, like 1930s style bungalow. They've chosen to demolish it and they're going to build this.
I wonder how much of a CV Kate's going to have from a property.
Oh yeah, on first name terms now, are you?
Yeah, me and Kate.
I think she's
like
got
that.
a pretty good one. You could see it from the beach, so she'll definitely be able to see the beach.
I don't know what level they're constructing at the moment, how high ultimately it's going to be.
Well, the lower level,
over the roof of the one in front.
I think that is the ground floor, isn't it? That's the stone bit, and then they've got the block, the square block that sits on top. So that will be higher than the roof in front, and she'll have the view.
You say they've bought the field behind?
Yeah, where those trees are. That's going to be an air source, not an air source heat pump, a ground source heat pump. So it's going to be eco.
Oh, okay.
as eco as possible.
She's all for eco, isn't she? I think, isn't she?
I believe you're more nosy about that than me.
I'm really nosy. Yeah, yeah.
Amazing, isn't it? Wow.
So again, they bought a pre-existing property, they've demolished it, and now they're building
Something
a new home.
specific to them, yeah.
I think it's on 3 levels, from what I can remember.
Yes.
Do you remember what sort of spec it's got in it? So I take it it's got a pool, is it?
4 bedrooms,
Yeah.
really nice balcony area to overlook the sea. It's got a pool, the wet room and everything. We're going to be run over by an engineer, a van.
Pool engineer.
Pool engineers. But yes, that's the site.
One thing I noticed, I couldn't see there was a cinema room.
Oh, what a shame, never mind. They've got a constantly moving sea, just look out the window.
Yeah, perhaps she just wants a week off when she comes down here and not want to watch any films.
Not herself. But you can't even hear the sea. That's the point, isn't it? You can't hear the sea.
Constant hum of the cement mixers, the lorries,
Drills, hammers, saws, chatter of workmen. I noticed these guys haven't got their radios on full blast. But I don't think it's fair to blame one person. There's another development up here. I am just amazed at the activity here, are you?
Yeah, it has surprised me. I knew it was going to be busy and I knew there was going to be development going on up here, but it seems as if it's almost every other property or every 1 in 3 properties.
Yeah. God, this is massive. Look at this. This is expensive. None of it's straight. None of it's square. So, we have found one that's not a box. Look at all those angles and levels and roof lines. You can't see much from here, can we?
See, in Cornwall we say having a geek.
Yeah, having a bit geek.
Have a bit of a geek, which is basically being nosy. I think we're really good at being nosy.
Can't get over it. I am absolutely, my flabber is gasted. Wow. Oh my goodness. So we're now walking the cliff path back towards the car park, and it just carries on with these amazing houses. Oh, fascinating. Gosh, and they're going to have to share all this with hundreds and thousands of holiday makers in the summer. Sad thing is, all of these super duper houses, they all look empty, soulless. I'm sure when you've got a family in there, loads of noise, if they've got a pool, lots of splashing and screaming and laughing, it's fine, but yeah, the whole place is just dead, apart from builders. So as part of our research, before we came up here, we had a little bit of a look online to see what the local papers have been reporting about the area. One is picking up on the noise. The Sun's headline in October 2023 reads, "Misery. Kate Blanchett is slammed by angry neighbours in Cornish village over noisy building work." Within the article, a local says it makes our lives a misery. And another said tourism is essential here. So is the tourism industry threatened? The Scarlet Hotel, a very expensive place to stay, had this TripAdvisor comment. "Overall very disappointing, overpriced and very noisy building site. The worst aspect of the hotel currently is that it's next door to a major building site, spewing out ground rock dust all over the outdoor pool. This, in addition to the dumper trucks and generators also in operation, the noise was very disturbing."
Can you imagine if you're one of these celebs, you jet in, you know, you bring all your entourage in as well, you bring your chef in, you bring your housekeeper in and what have you, your chauffeur, that type of thing, and you pitch up here and you come here for maybe a week or 2 weeks in the summer, say June, July, something like that. You get your speedos on, you come down to your pool with your you know, Pinot Grigio. Put your
Champagne,
feet up,
darling.
Put your feet up, you get your brute. Put your feet up, and next thing you hear is a hammer drill going off next door.
No, it's the next one's
and
going.
a buzzsaw. Because because that's all you're hearing. We're walking around here today.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's coming out on camera, but every property you go by, every other property, there's some sort of building work going on. There's a saw going off, there's builders, they're hammering, they're drilling. Like peace and quiet.
Before, this place was sought after, and whilst it was still a sleepy, secluded, tranquil little village, they're now getting knocks on the door. This is from the Falmouth Packet. The Falmouth Packet reports how residents can have wealthy property hunters knocking on their doors offering millions of pounds for their homes, even when they're not up for sale. Sounds like a dream, but is it welcome? Locals say the celeb invasion is leading to them being forced out of the area due to the inflated cost, and say the village feels like a ghost town in winter months. In an interview with The Sun, Stuart Kirk, who owns Betty's News, says that it's almost like a ghost town in the winter. He adds that the number of second homes and holiday lets are contributing to the increase in local people being priced out of the area, which is eroding the sense of community at Mawgan Porth. Comments under the articles agree. This one from the Daily Mail says Cornwall is being wrecked by overdevelopment and poor planning. Desperate local people born and bred can't get a look in. A reply to that says it was all locals who sold their homes to outsiders in the first place. They didn't have to, but I suppose they liked the money. So can we have an opinion about this when we can't afford these properties and it's not part of our lives, it's not touching us per se, is it?
It's not. I mean, first of all, I can understand why they want to come here.
Absolutely. The surf, the accessibility, the generous plots. Yeah, tick, 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 isn't it?
Yeah, and yeah, there's probably an element of jealousy and envy because there's nowhere in the world we could ever allude to anything like this. We couldn't even afford the cheapest possible property along this bit of the coast, could we?
I think for me, though, that's a tiny bit. I find it interesting. I find it fascinating. I find there is a ripple to us, because if you then try and find a tradesman in Cornwall and they've been working for people with pockets this deep, suddenly it's really difficult to employ someone, isn't it?
It is.
Because they're busy, and secondly because they're expensive.
Yeah, and there is a big divide with wealth in Cornwall. Yes, you have this, incredible wealth here.
Yeah.
You go inland just a little bit, probably 4 or 5 miles inland, places like St Callum, I would have thought, and then across to Bodmins and lots of places like that. You've got a divide, haven't you?
And you've got pockets of extreme poverty, haven't you?
Yes, and there's this massive divide with the wealth, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it does mean that with the property prices here going up so much, there is that ripple effect that it's bringing all the other property prices up, which then affects rental properties as well, doesn't it? People have bought properties as an investment, they're renting them out. Interest rates have gone up, and all the other prices of houses have gone up in Cornwall. It means they can charge more for their rents. And a lot of the people in Cornwall are in hospitality industry on relatively low wages.
Yes, it's minimum wage stuff,
really struggling now to even afford the very basics, aren't they? So this divide between the rich and the poor
is very
it's probably the biggest I've ever known
here.
It. Yeah.
But it's so openly obvious, and it's not discreet at all here, is it? I can't actually see if we're filming us or not, Okay.
But there is a movement, there is definitely a movement for people being very angry about the rise in the actual number of second homes and homes that are vacant for so many months in the year, when you have people that are desperately in need of property, affordable property.
Of a home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've seen
I know.
That. Yeah.
I know.
It's sad. I think it's sad, really.
So if you've got any comments about that, and you kind of sit on one side of the fence or the other, or you think that maybe as a Cornish we're all rich, which we're not, no. Then put some comments in below.
Yeah, and if you've got a personal experience of what we've been talking about, then it'd be really interesting to share it, because we want to develop this theme, I think, maybe in 1 or 2 other videos later in the year, and look at the topic in a little bit more detail. So it'd be interesting to get your point of view.
Andrew, before we get in the car, you said you had a joke.
I did have a joke. I forgot all about it. Thanks for reminding me, because you're a true professional. Now, my joke was, Jamie Doran?
Yes.
Well, apparently he's got a property here.
Allegedly.
Rumoured to. We don't know which one it is.
No.
But apparently when he was having his lounge done, he was looking for all the paint charts and he couldn't decide what he wanted. So in the end, he decided to paint it 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, boom. So we've enjoyed our wander around Mawgan Porth. I'm astonished at the amount of building work going on here.
I knew there was a lot of building going on, but even I've been surprised just how much.
I know.
Yeah, and it's an ultimate game of one-upmanship, isn't it?
Yeah.
My house is bigger than your house, isn't it?
It's totally changing
but
the character
where does that
well.
end? Where does it end?
Well, when the cliff falls down, I guess, isn't it? Anyway, that's a completely different story.
That'd be a good video.
For today, we're going to wrap it up here. Hope you've enjoyed a little wander around Mawgan Porth and the changing landscape, changing buildings. We'll be back in 10 years to show you it's just completely changed again.
Yeah, and if you've got any comments about our video today, any opinions of your own, then pop it in the comments. It's always good to hear from them. And if you do us a favour, if you enjoyed the video, give us a thumbs up. Always helps with the YouTube algorithm.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.